That the folks in the room at the Fed were cussing, saying this is the dumbest idea they've ever heard. There's nothing strategic about Bitcoin, and almost kicked us out of the room. Because they thought this was such a bad idea, and how dare we even breathe this idea, in the building of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, you have your finger on the pulse of everything happening in DC and with the policymakers. So tell me how the red wave has really changed things. I mean, it seems like everyone's now bullish on Bitcoin, including the highest office in America.
I wouldn't say everyone.
Okay.
I wouldn't say everyone, but I will say that we did successfully defeat the anti-crypto army. It's defeated, but it's not totally dead.
Okay.
There's still a lot of patriots out there still working against our movement. So it's not totally dead. I don't think everything is going to be smooth sailing, but we've been waiting for many years to have this political alignment. So I think the big summary of kind of what was accomplished at the polls is that, well, one, we obviously have our first pro-crypto president, which is massive. But it's not just that. We also have a pro-crypto Congress. So there's over 290 members of Congress that will be sworn in come January that ran and are on record being pro-crypto. And I was on the ground day one working on public policy for Bitcoin. And I worked to recruit the very first Bitcoin champion in U.S. Congress in 2014. So we went from 1 to 290 in a decade. And that's it's hard to explain just how big of a deal that is to have that kind of support. So we've accomplished a lot, but actually I think it's Bitcoin has been stifled by governments for many, many years. Our models were showing us that Bitcoin would have hit 100K over 4 years ago during the last halving cycle. So this progress has been slowed down and stifled. It's very exciting to finally be here, but it's taken actually a lot longer than I think it could have, had you not had all these actions from the regulators and the policymakers trying to slow this down.
So can you maybe get specific on when people say regulatory clarity, what does that mean? Are we going to have an SEC chair that defines what is a security versus a commodity versus a stablecoin? Are we going to get that type of framework?
Well, I think the issue really came back, and you have to go back through crypto history. So all these questions really started to emerge during the ICO boom, which really started in 2016. You went, a little after Ethereum was invented and released, people started figuring out how to launch their own tokens, and you did all these initial coin offerings. And some of the stuff we were seeing was exciting. Some of it was a little scary. Some of it was not good at all. But clearly there needed to be a regulatory framework to ensure that this is done in a safe way that respects the law, protects investors, and is commensurate with the values that we all hold as part of the Bitcoin community. So the challenge really came down to token issuances. So Bitcoin has a unique feature in that it had this immaculate conception. There's no issuer. Right. There's not an issuer. So but there was, Satoshi was a real person or group of people, and they did create this, and they released it to the world for free. But when they did that back in 2008, 2009 timeframe, nobody was watching, nobody was paying attention because it was such early days. They created something brand new. Now everybody's watching. So you can't really release a token today because everybody's watching without somebody, noticing. So Bitcoin got the benefit of those many years of being able to gain traction before the regulatory community was really paying attention. So the question around regulatory clarity is, what is the rules for issuance? How can you bring a new cryptocurrency? And of course, there are cryptocurrencies that should be regulated as securities. We call them intentional digital asset securities because their creators are looking to issue them in a regulated framework. But there's also digital assets that are not securities. They're commodities. We also have digital assets that are not financial products at all, like NFTs. They're just consumer products. They're like digital collectibles. And then we have stable coins.